Hello everyone, welcome to Georgia Paper Crafts. Today I am working with the April 2020 card kit of the month, Follow the Rainbows. Luckily I was able to get this recently. I know that Simon Says Stamp had to stop shipping for a while, but once they're up and able to do that again, they sent this out. So I'm just going to do a brief overview of the card kit, and then we'll get to making some cards. So as usual, you get your inspiration sheet here. We've got our stamp set. This is a 4x6 clear stamp set called Follow the Rainbows. It has this very pretty image of a girl from behind in a dress and high heels with with an umbrella and some rain falling, and some great sentiments that say, "You look fabulous even when it's raining. After the storm comes the rainbow. Friend, I miss you, thinking of you. I'm here for you, rain or shine. Don't lose hope, brighter days are coming. Follow the rainbows. You are my rainbow every single day for showering me with kindness, and thank you." So then we get 4 of the Susie Plantamura, I guess that's how you say, Susie's pre-printed images. And it looks like, let's see, one of them was kind of almost an Easter theme with a duck and the umbrella that says "Hello Spring," but I could still use that for something. This one says "Count the rainbows, not your thunderstorms." Here's one with a boy holding an umbrella over a lady. And this one's a rainbow that says "Peace, love, and happiness." Now these are pre-printed on the smooth side of Tim Holtz watercolor paper, so you can use watercolors with them. You can also use your Copics. You can use any kind of coloring medium. I've used a bunch of different coloring mediums in the past, and I actually have some videos that I'm going to be putting up showing this, because I have a lot of other pre-printed image packs that I have bought previously from Simon Says Stamp. So looking forward to using those. They make pretty easy cards. Get 2 envelopes. One is in I guess island blue and white. These definitely have the peel and stick. Then you get the 6x6 papers. This is 12 Whimsy stamps, rainbow 6x6 double-sided papers, and they're double-sided with all bright, nice rainbow colors, which I absolutely adore. Some of them have some hearts on the back. If it's not rainbow, then it's hearts in different colors. And they're nice, thick cardstock. And then we get this stencil. This is Clouds for Days 6x6 stencils, so you can move it around and make clouds or make clouds here. I'll probably be using this on a card. You get cardstock, piece of island blue, piece of the purple, royal purple, piece of the pink, and 2 pieces of the 120-pound white. And then I am supposed to get, it says here that I'm supposed to get Simon Says Stamp hybrid ink pad cubes in Teeny Bikini, Hot Mama, High Dive, and Lucky. Well, I got distress ink pads. This is in Seedless Preserve, Mermaid, Lagoon, Lucky Clover, and Festive Berries. I'm not really upset about that, because I don't have a lot of small ink cubes, so this will just be something I add to my collection. However, I do wish they wouldn't frequently change out products. You know, you kind of buy it knowing what's supposed to come in it, but I think this happens to a lot of people, and it's a little bit frustrating sometimes. You also get 1 jar of the Simon Says Stamp Fine Detailed White Embossing Powder. All right, so that's it. We're going to go ahead and get started making our cards.
So for my first 3 cards, I decided I would color 3 of the prints, and I would use different mediums to do this. Now I have significantly sped up each project. of me coloring, because otherwise this video would be really, really long, and it's already 44 minutes as it is. So I will, this is going 8 times fast. Yeah, I don't definitely color this fast, but I sped it up so that I could still include it in the video, but not be real in depth. So what I did was I took the 4 colors of inks that were actually 3 of the inks that were given to me. I will bring on a 4th here, that came in a kit for me. That was Lucky Clover, Mermaid, Lagoon, Seedless Preserve, and Festive Berries. I brought in one of my own, and that's Wildhoney up there. That's that yellow. I also put down a little bit of Perfect Pearls because I wanted my rainbow to have a little bit of a shimmer to it. I do not have the regular white Perfect Pearls, or the one that's called Perfect Pearl. I have the Biscotti, which is almost an off-white. So you can see that up to the right there. I just put a little bit of the powder onto my mat, which is a waffle flower silicone mat, and I added some water to that, and then I just pick up a little bit of that and dip it into the colors. So as you can see, I've painted it all on, and now I'm going to come in with another color from my stash. This is Weathered Wood, and just going around to kind of outline the image here. Trying to be light-handed with it. I do wind up putting a little bit heavier hand on the top than I do the bottom, but I still think it turned out okay. Initially, I started trying to go around the letters, and then I was like, yeah, you know what? I'll just fill it in once I'm, I know I'm going to color it with a different color. So just heating in between so I don't get mixture of the colors. I'm going to bring in some, I believe it's Chip Sapphire. Yeah, is that Chip Sapphire? Or is that Blueprint Sketch? I think it's Blueprint Sketch, sorry. Blueprint Sketch. And I'm just going around the letters, or coloring in the letters with that. Nothing real fancy, just kind of simple coloring here. Trying to be as careful as possible, but I always seem to go out of the line. I mean, there never seems to be a time where I can't not go out of the line. But you'll see how I kind of correct that when I do. What I like to do when I do go out of the line is I just take a clean paintbrush, just a very small one, put a little bit of water on it, and drop it onto that area that I want to kind of erase. And then I just dab it with a paper towel, and essentially removes it. Which, if you get a strong color like a red, it's somewhat hard to do that completely. But if it's a light color, like some of this blue, you can see that I'm kind of tapping it away, and it essentially goes right away, which I love. And that's that. Now I'm going to show you that pretty much all of these cards, I decided I would go around with a graphic black multi-liner pen just to make the image pop again. So that's it for the first one. Now the second one, I'm going to use my Zig Clean Color Wheel brush markers. Again, all colors will be listed down in the description box below. I'm using 2 of each color here and just putting it down onto the paper and pulling it out. I'm not using any water. Just trying to have my markers blend themselves onto the screen, not the screen, onto the paper. Sorry, there's a movie on in the background, and it totally caught my attention while I'm doing this voiceover. I apologize about that. I'm going to go outline the clouds with some blue, light blue. I will color in the heart with some red. And then I'll go over the words with some more blue colors. Again, I'll just pulling them out. If I'm using 2, I'll pull it out with a lighter color. I decided not to go around the outside of this image, the background, and discolor. I just left it white. I thought it might get too busy if I did, so I just kind of left that there. What you will see, though, is I do, of course, go over this again with a black graphic marker, just like I had done in the other one, and I will do in the next one, just a help the image pop off the page, since sometimes when you use watercolors or other coloring images, it mutes the lines and you don't see it as well. So I like to kind of go over each just to help it pop off the page. However, like I say, it is a little tedious, but I think it makes it worth it in the end, for sure. And this pen that I use is pretty good. A lot of them are maybe too thick or hard to control, but the one I use, which I will link down below, seems to be easier for me to control. You can see I use that right there. Now, moving on to the third one, I again brought in my distress ink watercolors, and this time I'm just smushing them down again. And I'm going to just start coloring here. So I'm using, this is Blueprint Sketch, and then I think I also brought in Mermaid Lagoon, and I'm just trying to do the background here and painting it in. I initially was thinking I wanted a little bit lighter behind the people because they're supposed to have the umbrella on top of them. But then I put a little bit of this Blueprint Sketch on top, and it wasn't blending real well, so I felt like I had to kind of go in and do a little bit more blending throughout, so it started to kind of just all become kind of one color. It's interesting though, the Blueprint Sketch definitely turned into a little bit of a purplish color. Once I'm finished with that, I'm going to go ahead and heat it up, and just to dry it, I'll clean off my mat. I'm going to bring in some greens here. This is Twisted Citron and Lucky Clover. I initially thought the Twisted Citron would kind of go well, but it just turned out to be too yellow for me, so I kind of mixed it with the Lucky Clover and got a better green color. As you can see here, I'm trying to erase my boo-boos. I'm going to go in with some antique linen here for the skin, just doing it real lightly. Each time I'm picking up the color off of my mat to try to give me more room there. This one's the Wildhoney. Like I say, I don't do real good coloring. I always seem to wind up getting it out of lines and stuff, so I seem to do a lot of cleaning up, but I think it turned out okay. I usually use anything from a 4 to 6 to 8 paintbrush. Just depends what feels good in my hand, honestly, and how big the image is. When I'm trying to fix my little boo-boos, then usually I'm using maybe a 2, something a little bit smaller. Now here's where I'm going to color the umbrella, and I'm going to use a bunch of different colors. That was Worn Lipstick. This is Ripe Persimmon. Then I decided it was getting a little bit wet, and I wanted to try to move so that I didn't add, mix the colors. I initially went with a Twisted Citron, but I thought it turned out a little bit too brownish. So I went back over it with a Lucky Clover, started doing the blue, and then realized, oops, you're on the wrong side there. So I had to go back, try to erase some of that, and then put the yellow down. This is shaded Lilac. Again, some of these colors are from my stash. I'm going to bring in the Seedless Preserve here in just a second, but I went again with the, I really like the Ripe Persimmon, so I went with that one again on the end. Get a little bit of heat just to dry it before I move on. Then I'm going to try to use the colors that I've already put out, because I didn't want to put out any more colors, so I decided I'd just go with the colors I had and make their clothes kind of look like that. So you can see I go from the Mermaid Lagoon to the Lucky Clover, add a little bit of the shaded Lilac to her legs, or her leggings. Wanted to make a little bit of the ruffle, a mixture of both of that and the Seedless Preserve. Going to make him have on the jeans here. enjoyed coloring this image. It was definitely fun to color, and actually very easy. It's very easy to color these images, especially with distress inks. And using this waffle flower mat is very easy. As you can see, it wipes up very easily. I used a little bit of hickory smoke for the shoes, using some festive berries for the hearts, coloring all of those in. You see, I'm going to go back with a little bit more hickory smoke because I didn't think the shoes were dark enough. Just kind of filling in a little bit more things that I thought needed to be darkened or shaded a little bit more. Hands a little bit darker. And that's it. And what I'm showing here is that I went around it again with the graphic black marker just to kind of make that black outline image pop off the page. Now here I'm taking my different rectangle die cuts. That's just one from Long Fawn that I used to cut that out. This one is inside out stitch rectangle die from Long Fawn. And unfortunately the outside frame, I tore it a little bit with my purple tape there. So I, as you'll see, decided not to use it in the end. And this one I just used another stitch rectangle die, just a basic one, to cut this image out. I'm now going to make all of three of these into cards. The first one I decided I would cut using one of the Simon Says Stamp A2 size stitched. It's not stitched. It's the thin frame die. Sorry. So what it does, it cuts out this bigger frame here that you see that I'm putting the glue on. Then it cuts this little bitty frame on the inner portion right there. And what I did off camera, because it was quite tedious, is I cut that 4 times out of some navy cardstock. And the reason I did that is I wanted it to kind of pop up off of the card. So I put that all together, glued that in there, and now I'm using some black fun foam, gluing it down to my piece. This back has some adhesive already put on it. I added some glue to hopefully be able to give me some time to maybe move this around before I got stuck, but trust me, I didn't like the way I put it down, and I started to pull it up and it was ripping, so I just left it. So as you see in the final image, it's a little off. I don't really like that. It wasn't enough to bother me to where I wanted to take part the whole project, but it is a little bit off, and like I say, you'll see that. Now I'm going to come in with some unicorn rhinestones. These are from Pretty Pink Posh, just scattering them all over. Here's my second one. Just going to adhere this straight down onto the white card base. Again, all my card bases are made out of heavyweight cardstock from my stash. Thought it was a little bit off-centered, so I cut a little bit off the top, which does make it a little bit smaller than an A2 size, just very minimal amount. Add some gems. Add a little bit of highlighting with my white gel pen, and I just do this to how I think it looks good to my eye. Probably isn't the correct way to add highlights. It's probably in the wrong area, but it looks good to me, and so that's the way I leave it. And the third one, I decided I'd go ahead and take the piece that I cut out using the stitch rectangle die, back it with some navy cardstock, cut it down. Decided to find some sentiments from find a sentiment from the stamp set. I did find one, and this one is the one that says, "You look good even when it's raining," or something like that. So it's hard for me to remember which one this is. This, and I used just a leftover piece of the navy cardstock. Use my anti-static powder tool, some Versamark ink, and some Brutus Monroe alabaster ink, and heat emboss that using an MFT stitched rectangle banner die. Cut that out, and I'm just going to kind of, you look fabulous even when it's raining, that's what it says. And adhere that to the white card base, and then, like I say, try to decide where I want to put the sentiment. And I eventually decide I want to put it up in the right-hand corner. Before I do that, I do bring out my Kaisercraft gel pens. I'm bringing the glitter pens into and filling in those little dots on the umbrella with a coordinating color, glitter color, to what it has been painted, and filling all that in. You will see that I also tried to kind of do the stripes in the little boy's shirt, or the man, whatever it is, the shirt. And for some reason my gel pen was not working on there. So I tried several different times and it just wouldn't work. I don't know if it's the ink on there that was keeping it from working. You're seeing I'm trying to get it to kind of work, but eventually I just abort using that and just let it be. Even tried another glitter pen there, didn't work. I'm going to adhere this straight down using some glue. And that's it for that one. Here's a close-up look at all 3 cards. These pre-printed images, like I say, make excellent starting spots for coloring and very easy to put into cards. I have quite a few that I have bought from packs from Simon Says Stamp. Now here for the 4th card, I decided I wanted to color this image from the stamp set. This is the image of the girl with the umbrella, and I decided I wanted to try in several different mediums. So here I brought out my Prismacolor, not Prismacolor, sorry. These are Polychromos. These are Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils. And I'm just blending rainbow colors onto the umbrella. And sometimes I seem to get a little bit of extra color, or it's not really wax, but it's pencil shading. I don't know what it is, but get a little bit on the side. So that's why you see me bringing in my microfiber cloth and wiping it off just to help clean the area up before I move on. I am using the white pencil just to help give it a little bit of a highlight area. And I'm doing this on the navy cardstock. I had an extra piece of navy cardstock from what I used from the previous card, and I just used that. I had heat embossed the image using white alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe. I actually forgot to use the Simon Says Stamp one, as Brutus Monroe one is my go-to just because it stamps so crisply. Just moving through the image here. I didn't really like how this turned out on her legs. I thought it just was too light, but there was not much I could do about it at this point. Coloring in the puddle there, some of the raindrops. And pull in another stitch rectangle die here, cut out a piece of pattern paper. And this one I'm going around the edges with some Hero Hues reactive ink here just to try to darken the edges. To me, when I look at it now, it doesn't look that much, but I don't think it was too bad. Then I'm bringing in 2 of the sentiments. One says friend, and the other one says I'm here for you, or something like that. says, sorry. I'm here for you, rain or shine. So what happened there, and I know it's hard to see because I'm going very fast, but the I wound up heat embossing right into her leg. So all you could see was the apostrophe and the M in I'm. And I just, it was such a perfect emboss, and I hated that, but I needed to cover it up. So I reheat embossed that with some blue reactive ink from Hero Arts, and then cut that out onto and put that over that area on a card. Bringing in some gems, some more unicorn gems, and also putting some on her belt, some yellow ones. I have to be honest and say I really like the way this card turned out. I wasn't sure how it would turn out because I am not very good with my pencils, colored pencils, but I really did like how it turned out. Now moving on to the next one, of course I, at the same time that I heat embossed the blue card background, I used white embossing powder onto a black background. You knew I had to, if you know anything about watching my videos, you know I love to use my metallic watercolors, and so I decided I would definitely do that here. So just like the others, coloring the umbrella in rainbow fashion, using my metallic watercolors. This is my Fine Tech watercolor palette, metallic watercolor palette, and this is not, of course, any kind of watercolor paper. It's just basic black paper. I think it's from Basil. So I'm trying not to put a lot of water down because I don't want it to work the paper too much. And the way you do that is you just, when you color, you use more you try to use less water, and that'll give you a more vibrant pigment color. Going through, just using some of the blue on the inner portion of the thank you. Then I decided to go ahead and do a bunch of splatters of the colors onto the image. Just doing it in different colors. I'm going to cut it down. Now this is the other side of a piece of the cardstock that I had already used with the red hearts. Put it onto the side. I'm going to pop this image up with some black fun foam that I had left over. I thought it needed a little bit of an edge, so I brought in one of my Love from Lizzie peel-off stickers. It's a glitter navy sticker. And put that on the edge there. Adhered that to the card base, and then put some more gems. And that's it for this card. I liked again how this one turned out. Now I'm trying to decide, what am I going to do? Oh, I have one more thing I wanted to do with this image before I move on. One thing I love to do, and I haven't done in a while, is do paper piecing, pattern paper piecing. Wow, that was a mouthful. So I'm stamping the image onto some white cardstock. I stamped it using the Simon Says Stamp Intense Black ink. I also stamped it onto the colored pattern cardstock that I wanted to use for each of the images, for the umbrella and also for her dress. Cut it out, and then I went around each side with the black Memento marker just to eliminate the image of any imperfections of me cutting it out. Colored in her legs with some Copic markers, along with coloring the high heels with some C markers. I'm going to go ahead and adhere both the dress and the umbrella using some blue. And then I'm going to go around the image using a C1 marker. This, to me, if you go around the outside of it, along with a little bit of it on the inside of the pattern paper, it helps it to make it look dimensional. It helps to make it look like it's kind of coming off the screen. So I do this anytime I do paper piecing. Just use a very light hand. going to bring in some more sea markers just to fill in this puddle here. Then I decided trying to think of what I wanted to do for the thinking of you, and I decided I'd just do a little bit of a rainbow and color it in. One color only, very tiny area, so I thought I'd only use one color and color it in using rainbow format. Picking a bunch of different colors, Copic colors here. I don't even think I'll have them all listed for you as I just picked them randomly. So this says, thinking of you, you are my rainbow every single day. So here, it wasn't big enough for the card base, and I really didn't want to cut the card base down. So I'm taking some of the scrap paper that was left over from me cutting out the umbrella, and I'm paper piecing it here onto the top and the bottom, just in little strips. Going to cut off the excess just to help frame up this piece. I'm going to put some foam adhesive on the back. Decided to go ahead and use my heavy duty foam here just because I kept cutting the fun foam too small and I would have kind of a gap, and I didn't like that, so I decided to just use this big roll. Add that onto the card base, trying to get it as even as possible. Here I'm going to bring in some water or some different colored droplets. And these are all from my stash in a different rainbow color. I'm going to add a little bit of glue, use my jewel picker, and put them all down. And that's it for this card. I like the way this one turned out too. Now moving on, like I say, I was done with the images and decided what else can I do. So I decided to bring in some stacked heart dies. This is from Lawn Fawn. I brought in all the sizes that come in the pack, and I'm going to adhere them onto this piece of rainbow pattern paper, and I'm going to cut them out. And I'm also off screen going to cut out more using some more leftover pattern paper from the card that I previously used in the last video. So you won't see me attaching any of the dies to those, but I do, you'll see the cutouts here when I come back. Just try to cut out a couple of different sizes and colors and everything. And now I'm just going to kind of lay it out onto the card base and see if I can find a pattern that I like. And once I do, I'll start to adhere everything. But you'll see I'll fiddle around for a little while until I can find a way that I like. I do wind up going back and cutting some more of the small hearts, as I felt like I needed more to do to fill in the white space after I initially put all of this down. You'll see that in just a few minutes here, but just kind of adhering everything down randomly and kind of hanging it off the edge so that when I cut it off, it kind of looks like it's, it's in a random pattern. And here you can see I added more of the small parts. I'm adhering those, and then I'll cut off the excess. once I'm finished with that, I will go ahead and cut out a black heart from one of the dies, and I will put the sentiment friend, and I don't know, this is terrible, I can never remember what it says. Friend, let me say, I'll have to wait a second. I'm using the Simon Says stamp embossing powder here. Don't lose hope, better days are coming, that's what it says. I decided I wanted a little bit of metallic splatter onto this, so I brought out my metallic watercolors again. I'm flicking a bunch of different colors on here. Makes a huge mess onto my desk, but the good thing about this Tim Holtz mat is it cleans up very, very easily. If it's on there for a long time, you might have to use a little alcohol, but otherwise I just used water and it came right out. Put some foam adhesive on the back of that. Go ahead and pop that up. And then I'm going to use some more of the unicorn rhinestones from Pretty Pink Posh. And I'm using the very small ones. I'm trying to find all the different color ones in here and just kind of adding them throughout the card. And a lot of times I seem to get too much glue, especially when they're this small. A big clump of glue and wind up having to take it off before I get the rhinestone stuck down, even though it does dry clear. And that's it for this card. I like the way this one turned out. The next, again, because I didn't feel like I had a lot of things to work with in the kit, I decided to bring in a large Hugs die. This is from Simon Says Stamp. It's one that I just had in my stash from years and years ago. I don't know if it's still available. I will look, and if so, I'll list it down below. I took the large heart I cut out from one of the rainbows pattern paper earlier, and I cut that through there. Now I'm going to cut the Hugs out using different rainbow color papers, and I'm going to stack them all together. Once I do that, I'm going to inlay that onto the rainbow pattern paper. You can see the Hugs that cut out from the pattern paper up to the right. The bad thing is it did cut off the H, so I'm not going to be able to use that in a different project, but that's okay. I was okay with that because I was happy to be able to use this. Let's see, I'm just kind of going to paper piece it back together. Go ahead and put down the bottom piece, inlay the Hugs just to kind of give me an idea of where everything else should go. Do the top. And then I'll go ahead and add a little bit of glue to the back of the Hugs and inlay that right there. Then I thought I had placed it down a little bit too far, so I decided to cut off a little bit of the top of the card just to try to make it look a little bit more even. Put some tonic shimmer glitter pen all over that, and then of course brought in some more rhinestones from the Pretty Pink Posh. I didn't fill in the G and the H there, and I think that was because I couldn't find it. But that's okay, I think it turned out all right. I wanted to use that Hugs again, so I went ahead and cut it out from another piece of pattern paper. And for some reason, I thought I had videotaped this, but I guess I didn't. I had used the cloud stencil and used some tumbled glass and a Mermaid Lagoon distress ink and inked up this white background here with the cloud for Days stencil. Sorry I don't have that there, but I adhered it to a piece of blue cardstock. And here you can see I cut out the Hugs that I cut out. I added to some more layered Hugs die cuts that I made to give it more dimension. And I didn't stamp this sentiment real well, so I'm going over it with my graphic black liner. And this says, after the storms come the rainbows. I'm going to adhere that straight down to the card base. And go ahead and adhere the hugs. I feel like this is a little bit crooked. I seem to have a hard time getting things straight, even though I use my T-ruler. I just don't seem to do it very well, but still think it looked okay. Now here I kept the pieces under this one, and I added it in, and the more I looked at it, I probably should have just left it out, but you live and learn. Again, more rhinestones. Everything needs some bling. In my opinion, that is. Go over that again with the shimmer pen. That's it for that one. And one last card, I decided again to use bring in another die from Simon Says Stamp. This is a Good Vibes die. I have not used this yet. I bought it a while back and I've held on to it, and I thought these rainbow colors are pretty groovy, and so I thought it would make a good looking card, a groovy card. So I cut the Good Vibes out of the blue portion of the rainbow pattern paper, adhered it to some kind of, it's almost a platinum color vellum that I had from my stash. Adhere everything to include the eye. And then I'm going to use some of the red portion of the pattern paper, cut that down, and I wanted to stamp here sentiment. This is the same sentiment that says, after the storms come the rainbow. Well, I guess I thought I had done it straight, but once I adhere it to the card, what you see is that it's really not, the sentiment was not stamped straight. You'll see that here in just a second. And I decide that I need to cover that up. So I re-stamp the same sentiment onto a green portion of the cardstock or pattern paper. I emboss it with white embossing powder, and I'm going to place that over the black stamped image there. Go ahead and glue down the Good Vibes. Again, I thought that was straight, but it looks a little crooked from here. Hear that right there, just cover it up. I used one of my banner dies from Simon Says Stamp to cut that out. Again, more bling. Some of those extra hearts you see up to the left-hand corner, I do decide to put a couple on some of the inner portions of the cards. I used one there, and then after I filmed, I went back and did a couple more. So that's it for this 10 cards. I did enjoy using this set. Of course, I like anything with rainbows. I do think it was a little bit limited as far as you had the stamp set and you had the stencil. But, you know, as far as making a lot of different cards without the same image, it was a little tough to do. But having said that, I did enjoy having the pre-made cards, images, and I think it turned out well. Love to know which card was your favorite. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. I know it was really long, and I hope that you'll come back again, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and if you'd like to, go ahead and hit the like button and give me a thumbs up. Hope you're doing well, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.